While the entire Christian world was celebrating Easter, the Kremlin decided to stage a farce called a truce. Apparently, when Putin tried to crack an egg with his head, he got the idea to become a lightning-fast peacemaker. A pale something crawled out of the bunker and announced a 30-hour Easter truce.
Today, from 6 p.m. this evening until midnight, spanning from Sunday into Monday, the Russian side is officially declaring an Easter truce, a temporary cessation of hostilities. I order all combat operations to be halted during this period. We assume that the Ukrainian side will follow our example.
The Führer was absolutely unfazed by the fact that for a month now, he's been offered a 30-day truce, and that during all this time there was an energy and infrastructure truce in place, which the orcs didn't observe for a single day. It's as if Putin reset himself and decided to play the peacemaker from scratch.
Here are 5 clear signs that your man is potentially lying to you. You can simply pay close attention to how the man behaves. Maybe he coughs a little.
And the situation, regrettably, remains just as incredibly tense and precarious as it was before. My sincerest apologies.
You can see on Putin's face that it's almost physically painful for him to say words about peace. But he tried, because the Kremlin's Easter truce has 2 goals: to keep pulling the wool over Trump's transparent head like, "See, Donald, I'm all for peace, with both hands tied behind my back." And the second goal is to discredit Ukraine, which, against the backdrop of Moscow's unilateral peace initiative, is supposed to look like it's unwilling to negotiate.
Our decision regarding the Easter truce will show how sincere the Kyiv regime's willingness and desire, and indeed its ability to honor agreements, really is.
But Putin didn't manage to play the D'Artagnan for long while everyone else looked bad. The response from the president of Ukraine put Moscow in a very awkward position. Zelensky said, if Putin is truly so committed to peace, then why limit it to just a mere 30 hours? The president of Ukraine proposed to extend the humanitarian truce for another 30 days after the upcoming Easter holiday and added, if Russia definitively refuses this extended ceasefire, it will clearly reveal its true intentions. Naturally, Moscow refused, which was exactly what needed to be proven.
According to Christian canons, what we are doing is considered a grave sin.
The Kremlin's talking urn, Peskov honestly admitted that Putin did not give any orders to extend the Easter truce.
I'll just give a round of applause.
The very statement that Russia will not extend the current truce sounds utterly and completely absurd, because Moscow did not observe it for even a single second. Moreover, after the announcement of the so-called truce, the strikes only became more intense.
Yes, during the so-called Easter truce, the fighting never stopped. In Toretsk, it's just constant hell. Asuf Korditsa rightly points out that the reason for this is the convenient logistics for the enemy. It's easy for them to constantly move reinforcements and ammunition to the Toretsk area from Horlivka and Donetsk through their own occupied territory.
According to Commander-in-Chief Syrskyi, by Easter evening, the occupiers had violated their own truce more than 2,000 times. They carried out 1,355 shellings, half of which were with heavy weapons, as well as 673 FPV drone attacks.
Go on, damn it! Go! So much for the Easter truce. Indeed, Christ is truly risen, and that is a cause for great joy and celebration. The main thing is everyone is alive, everyone is healthy. The drone is coming back. Get down. Oh, God!
The orcs carried out 67 assaults on Ukrainian positions. Putin's soldiers were especially active in disregarding Putin's truce in the areas of Pokrovsk and Toretsk. In the Kursk and Belgorod regions, no one has even heard of a truce. And that's not just a figure of speech. Russian telegram channels report that on Sunday they contacted officers on the front line, and those said they had not received any order to observe a ceasefire. So it turns out Putin declared a truce, but just forgot to tell his troops about it.
Oh, how convenient.
Russian propagandists tried to justify this by saying that the Russian army has very poor communication and coordination. In other words, you can't blame fools for anything. This is the pinnacle of the world's second strongest army. Apparently, someone in the Kremlin put a chair leg on the phone line, and the order from the Radiant One got cut off somewhere near the smoking area by the Spasskaya Tower.
I think you are absolutely right. And it's actually very hard to add anything to that. The simplest thing the Americans should do, if they really want a stable world, is just to let us finish what we started. That's it. They don't need to do anything else. We'll do everything ourselves.
What's even more despicable is that the occupiers, taking advantage of the ceasefire and the fact that Ukrainian defenders weren't firing at them, openly prepared for future assaults. They cleared mines from roads, set up crossings, and calmly brought in supplies and ammunition for the orcs. The only person in the world who still believes in Putin's peaceful intentions is Donald Trump. But if he had ever carefully watched Russian television or extensively read Russian social media, his rose-colored glasses would have completely melted from such aggressive and pervasive fascist radiation. Russians don't even hide the fact that they never intended to stick to the ceasefire. Moreover, they have no intention of doing so in the future.
He says, let's stop the shooting now. Please, let's stop.
Yes, of course, we'll stop easily. And then what? Even if you gave us those, so to speak, regions, well, hypothetically speaking, I'm just speculating here. You gave us those two, Zaporizhia and Kherson. As it is according to our constitution, what happens next? After all, Vladimir Vladimirovich told them that if you withdraw your troops from there, we will immediately stop shooting. But that doesn't mean we will end a special military operation.
Z channels are also openly writing that a ceasefire is not beneficial for the Kremlin regime and its army. Quoting, and do you know who might deliberately and purposefully sabotage the ceasefire from the Russian side? The Puziki, the criminal commanders for whom the special military operation is just a business scheme to squeeze out soldiers' payments. A great river of money. Besides, peace threatens them with the risk of ending up in the dock and losing everything they've gained. After all, the system always needs someone to devour. We've found a witch! Maybe we should burn her? It should be explicitly added here that ending this devastating war could potentially put not only the rank-and-file ghouls and terrorists on trial, but also the very top Kremlin criminals. Putin will certainly not stop this ongoing war, because his regime can no longer exist without it. For the Putin regime, it's much more convenient to send hundreds of thousands of its own citizens to their deaths, rather than to create well-paid jobs for those hundreds of thousands of people.
Russia actually started to truly fall apart after the unfortunate closure of the Lada factory and the Chinese car factories. Kamaz also announced similar holidays, and factories producing agricultural machinery are also going on holiday in May. And what does that mean? It means Russia is drifting, falling apart. Anyone who has boxed in the ring knows when your opponent starts to falter, you just need to hold out for another round or two and keep hitting.
It's much more convenient to sell oil and use that money to hire poor, downtrodden cannon fodder millions of whom the regime has created. Of course, you also have to spend on propaganda so that the masses, God forbid, don't start thinking and asking uncomfortable questions.
So, comrades, that's a grim conclusion. Our so-called great and terrible leader, as he thinks, has overstayed. We fought 5 whole years, and he couldn't care less about us. That's all there is to it. Thank you.
Who are you talking about?
About whom?
Who do you mean?
Well, who do we have that's great and terribly empowered for a quarter of a century, has outlasted everyone, only Stalin is left to outlast?
So what, my dear fellow? Weren't there people who held this position even longer? You're talking nonsense, aren't you? Here's an example to help you understand the scale of brainwashing going on in the swamps. On Russian social media platforms, people are seriously discussing the various reasons why President Putin announced an Easter truce. The first and most important reason, Putin had a truly prophetic dream in which God Almighty came to him and said, I know it's still too early for a lasting peace, but you should definitely announce a truce and thereby show your profound wisdom.
What in the hell?
I've got enough problems without you, so stop getting on my nerves. All right?
Putin's Russia is somewhat reminiscent of its own coat of arms. It's a two-headed mutant, with one head shouting that they must fight until the end of time, otherwise the system will collapse from the total disillusionment of the serfs due to the failure of the special military operation. Plus, no one knows what to do with the hundreds of thousands of orcs returning from the war.
With concussions and injuries, he works part-time as a janitor, hobbling around on crutches. Vasily from the 155th Marine Brigade has been forced to resort to such measures. The man is supposed to be undergoing rehabilitation, but the state doesn't pay for his treatment, so he has to earn the money for it himself.
I was cleaning up here, just working as a janitor on the side. I came back, haven't been paid for 3 months since the war, and now I have to pay for my own treatment.
And the second mutant head is hysterically insisting that the war must be ended immediately, otherwise the economy will be completely wiped out and Russia will be swept by hunger riots. This is being openly warned about by the head of the central bank, Nabulina.
Elvira Nabulina has warned of a potential crisis and announced preparations for a possible unfolding of a risky scenario in both the global and the Russian economies. The risky scenario is a possible path for the Russian economy that central bank analysts prepared last fall. This scenario is the worst of all possible outcomes.
Obviously, the bloodthirsty head is clearly and undeniably winning. So, let's stock up on patience and wait for the inevitable hunger riots and a new march of soldiers on Moscow. Putin apparently decided to go to war, counting on Donald Trump to help him secure a peace deal that would ultimately save his face. And here, there are more questions for the American president. How can he possibly trust, after all this significant time, a particular person and an entire country that demonstrably does not honor any of their agreements, not even the crucial ones they themselves initially proposed?
I would like to remind you that this video is created for entertainment purposes and contains elements of satire and irony. All facts and events are presented in a hyperbolized or exaggerated form to convey a comedic or dramatic effect. Our goal is not to mislead, but to highlight humor. Please take it with a smile.